Hello and welcome to my first ever tutorial video. My name is Bob Kuhn, and in this video I'd like to talk about mobile game controls. How you can create really comfortable controls for your touch-based games. Okay, let's get started. In my prototype here you can see a few elements. There is a ship on the right, and in the middle there are some rotating barriers. Imagine there's some kind of goal in the middle of all these barriers, so they're protecting something I want to get at. Because this is a circular kind of layout, I want my ship to move around the barriers. Okay, how might I do that? Well, before we start to answer that, let's first talk about hands and comfort. Pick up your device in landscape mode and rest your thumbs on the screen wherever and however they're comfortable. Don't force your thumbs anywhere, just rest them naturally on the screen. I'm probably safe in saying that your thumbs are close to 45-degree angles, right? Now, keeping your hands still, move only your thumbs. One or both, it doesn't matter. It kind of makes a sweeping arc motion, right? That movement feels comfortable because it's a natural motion. Okay, great. How can we implement this for our game? I'll show you what I've done. Take a look down in the bottom left corner of the screen. What you're seeing there is the visualization of the internals of the input mechanism for movement. You have a green line that goes from a bright red dot to a dark red dot, a 45-degree blue line, and a white dot that travels along it. Let's start with the green line first. The bright red dot is the initial touch that triggered this input mechanism, and the dark red dot is where my thumb currently is. So the green line goes from the start position to the current position. The 45-degree line is a representation of the ship speed, and we'll get to that in a minute. The white dot that travels along it is the nearest point on the line that represents the end point, so the current point as it travels along that blue line. And talking about speed, that's clamped to a maximum speed. So what that means is the white dot doesn't go beyond that because it's clamped, although I can move my thumb beyond it, and in both directions too. So what that means is as it approaches the end points of the blue line, the faster the ship goes in either direction. I'm currently going left here, but I can go right this way, and it's the same on either side. So the closer to the initial point, the slower it gets. The speed is a factor from 0 to 1 and 0 to -1 for my ship movement. So if it's negative, then I go left, and to the right it is positive, so it goes the other direction. Let me talk about how I triggered this in the first place. It's on the left side of the screen, so anywhere on the left half of the screen can trigger this input. So for example, I can start it over here because that's where my thumb wants to be comfortable, or I can be down here, or over there, or over here. So the input can be anywhere as long as it's on the left half of the screen. And that was totally arbitrary. I'm right-handed, so it's more comfortable for me because of old gaming consoles. The D-pads were the left thumb and the action buttons were on the right, so that's just natural for me. But ideally that would be an option so that left-handed players can use their right thumb for movement if they wanted to. And this input mechanism allows really fine controls. So I can go really slow if I wanted to and instantly go fast if I needed to based on the gameplay. So slow again and then faster, slow again and then this direction, or whatever I want to do, it's really easy to do. And I'm not thinking about what I'm doing actually, it's just a natural motion. I'm focused on the center of the screen and not where my thumb is. So I can feel the movement because I'm pushing it in a way, which is ideal. I want my player's attention to be on the center of the screen where the action is, not some position where inputs are happening. So it's a really natural motion. Okay, now for action buttons. As I mentioned before, movement starts whenever touches happen on the left half of the screen. That means on the right half of the screen, that can be used for anything else. So for this prototype, I want my ship to fire. Okay, so any touch began events make the ship fire. And because it's triggered on the began event, I have to release and press down again in order for it to fire again. It's just a normal tap, like so. So that's where my thumb is. That crosshair is where the OS is registering my touch. I'm just tracking that for this video so you can see where my thumb is. And it's not in any specific place either. I can drift wherever my thumb is currently comfortable. And if I need to press quickly based on gameplay, I'm able to do that. And notice that I can shoot and move at the same time. Cool. Moving and shooting. Shooting and moving. I bet by now some of you are saying, now hold on a second there, Bob. What are you supposed to do if you need more than one action button? To which I reply, you simply add it. Check this out. I'm going to shoot and engage my shields. Boop. See that? And notice that the shields are engaged as long as my thumb is being held down. It's not a tap like the firing. So it's two different kind of input mechanisms being handled here. Tap, 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 press and hold. I enable this by tapping away from the last shot touch, and I'll describe what I mean, and this is why those pluses are important for you to see. Shooting is the primary action, so I need to give priority to shooting. So my logic says, if my last firing touch was a long time ago, more than 2 seconds in this case, then shoot, no matter where the touch is, provided it's on the right half of the screen, of course. If the last shot was less than 2 seconds ago, then it checks the distance from the last firing touch. If it's far enough away, then activate the shields. And I'll show you that now. I'll start firing and then move away so that I can engage the shields. So that's far enough away so it doesn't think I'm trying to still fire. And if all of those tests fail, then it will shoot. I just tap, so it has to do something. It can't do nothing. I'm a player, I need to fire, so it has to do something. It can't ignore my touch. And just a side note here, let me reset the grid. Those indicators in the upper left corner of the screen show when each type of input is happening. So red for movement, green for firing, and blue for shields. This kind of input isn't limited to circular gameplay either. It can be used for other kinds of genres as well, like platformers, for example. You simply apply the factor to horizontal movement instead of circular movement, as I've been doing. For example, if your game has ladders, you can have a jump button to sort of grab onto that ladder and switch the left-right thumb movement to control the vertical character movement instead. And when that character is on the platform again, switch the input to control horizontal. So it's pretty easy to apply this mechanism to other genres that you think might only be done with a D-pad. And that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. With a small amount of planning and a little code logic, you can implement really comfortable, really fluid, really awesome controls for your game without having to resort to using one of these. Everyone hates these D-pad overlays, so don't use those, please. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and do great things, and I'll see you next time.